Hi, my name is Larry Fluery, and today we are on this episode of Let's Talk About It. We have Jessica Pearson, founder and director of Arkansas Moves. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, happy to have you here today.
Happy to be here. I tell you what, Bella Vista continues to surprise and delight me. I had no idea there was a TV channel and a studio. Like, the studio is incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I feel very VIP right now. No pressure.
No, you'll do great. First of all, Arkansas Moves, you guys are doing so much, but before we even get to that, tell us more about you. How did you end up here in Northwest Arkansas, Bella Vista, Bentonville area? What brought you to the region? And just a little bit more about you, I guess.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Springfield, Missouri, so just a couple hours north of here.
Yeah.
And probably about 5 years ago, I was working for a real estate development company, Green Circle Projects, and we started developing in Northwest Arkansas. One of our projects was Red Barn, Bentonville. We also assisted with the development of Crystal Flats.
Oh,
and through that work, I was spending more and more time here. And each time I came to visit, I fell more and more in love. I got tied into the Women of Oz, and I am a cyclist through and through. I did my first 100-mile bike ride when I was 12 years old with my dad. And so cycling has always been a big part of my life. And so I moved here for that, for the connectivity, for the community, for the culture. I initially moved to Fayetteville, and then when I took the position with Bentonville Moves Coalition at the time, I ended up making the move to Bentonville, and I couldn't be more pleased.
That's great.
It's a great place to raise my two kiddos and enjoy the outdoors.
Well, what's super awesome is you've been all over Northwest Arkansas. It sounds like you've explored the Ozarks in its entirety, and you were with a company called Bentonville Moves Coalition. It's recently been reorganized, rebranded as Arkansas Moves, and your first city you're focused on for the whole project is Bella Vista. So why Bella Vista initially, and tell us, I guess, about the move from Bentonville Moves to Arkansas Moves and what you guys are planning on doing here.
Absolutely. So Arkansas Moves was founded by me earlier this year after the success of Bentonville Moves. So let's go back a little bit. About 3.5 years ago, Bentonville engaged with a company called City Thread out of Denver, Colorado, and they have an active mobility playbook, which really outlines how to successfully build coalitions, encourage community engagement, and celebrate and support our elected officials and city staff when they make investments in active mobility infrastructure. And I want to point that out. We're not a cycling advocacy group. We are an infrastructure advocacy group. So what we are promoting and celebrating is investments in active mobility networks. That's greenways, shared use paths, protected bike lanes. And we feel that everyone deserves choice in how they move about their city, and autonomy and dignity in how they move about their city. And so City of Bentonville had just adopted their bike and pedestrian master plan. It was called the Connecting Bentonville Plan. And that was a public input process. It went through Planning Commission and City Council approval, lots of community engagement. And as with that process, you get this beautiful PDF document that outlines 90 miles of new infrastructure to build out a connected active mobility network. But if there's not a community pushing for that implementation and helping to remind our elected leaders and our city staff that that's something that we want to have them invest in, then that plan doesn't necessarily move. So we're not just about moving people, we're about moving plans to progress and pavement.
That's great.
Yeah.
And with Bella Vista, we're already starting to see some development here in terms of that.
Yeah. Well, and you asked me why Bella Vista, and I didn't even answer that question.
Yeah,
so, Megan Workman, who is with the city of Bella Vista, has been hustling, and she has received multiple planning grants. Some of those are for reimagining Highway 71. Some of those are for the Greenway expansion, and others are for education. And there is, I think, a fourth grant that she received for updating the city's trails master plan. So multiple opportunities for community engagement. So this Bella Vista, this community is primed for coalition work and community building. I want the people to know when they can engage and how to engage productively, so that when those plans are adopted, they know that they had input in that and they can get behind that and really push for its implementation. The other reason I chose Bella Vista was because many of my Bentonville Coalition members were Bella Vista residents who commute into Bentonville daily. And so none of our communities are siloed. We are always interacting and visiting each other, and so I had an inherent coalition already formed here with my Bentonville membership that was so excited and eager for us to be doing work in Bella Vista.
No, that's great because, like you said, there's a lot of commuters from Bella Vista to Bentonville and vice versa, Bentonville to Bella Vista and other neighboring communities. So having these trails, connector paths, the greenway, everything you mentioned, people are utilizing cycling in the area, and it's very apparent. What Arkansas Moves does currently in Bella Vista, you're building these connectors, I believe. I guess break down, what is a connector? What's the difference between that and a greenway and other trails? You know, if I'm a newbie to cycling and understanding trail operations, what does that mean to me? What are you guys doing exactly in terms of development?
So trails, and many of the trails here in Bella Vista are more recreational in nature. A connector, we differentiate that as connecting rooftops to amenities. So we recently packed the path for the new Kingsland Side Path, which connected neighborhoods to Metfield Park. And we like to think if there is a way to walk from your door to the park without having to walk alongside a road with no shoulder, that will be used. And I think we have a video, which I would love to share.
Absolutely.
It kind of talks about how our Pack the Path connectors came to be. And then maybe after we watch that, I can share a bit about our next project coming to the west side, which I think is highly anticipated.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So let's jump to this video we got right here.
It's magical. This is absolutely the most people I've seen out walking and riding on a Bella Vista road.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming out to celebrate the new path.
Did I eat ice cream?
It would be nice to walk from their front door out in their street to a main road to get either on a dirt trail for mountain bikes or a paved trail.
It's important to give people options. We don't necessarily always want to take our car somewhere, especially if it's just a quick commute.
We're walking on a path that before was created by individual neighbors just deciding they wanted to get to the park and not walk on the street.
The whole side path idea just started as a random harebrained thought in my brain, and the fact that I had access to a weed whacker.
I think he spent 2 entire days with a weed eater out here. He could barely walk when he came in.
Joe coming out with a weed eater to like rough it in to the Active Transportation Advisory Board saying, hey, let's formalize this, to Arkansas Moves and Trailblazers coming out to cut the path. It's incredible.
We live right down the street and we are loving this. It's so fun to have these trails right by the side of the road where we don't have to get involved in traffic.
We came because we wanted to support our community and show anyone can use the trails, no matter what age.
She was mostly happy.
There's people my age, they're a little bit older, there's young people, there's kids, and it just reinforces that this is for everybody.
So many community members with smiles on their face, ice cream in their hands. It was perfect.
Wow, that's very, very cool. I'm excited to see all the things we're doing here in Bella Vista and all the things Arkansas Moves is developing. And from my understanding, you're doing a little bit more at the moment in terms of development from Glasgow up to our Highlands Golf Course. You want to expand on that a little bit?
We are. So I want to backtrack just for a second, though, to this idea of a side path and a connector, which you had asked about, because traditionally our work has been concrete asphalt pavement trails, ADA accessible. And what we have found here in Bella Vista is your terrain is a little more challenging. You've definitely
Very
have
hilly.
some more elevation change going on, some drainage ditches, and so it is cost prohibitive in some areas to put a standard sidewalk or shared use, my goodness, that's a tongue twister, shared use path in the right of way. But right of way is available. And what I love about Bella Vista and Bella Vista City leadership is they're reimagining the use of the right of way. If there were not a path packed in there, would you feel comfortable just walking through the grass alongside the roadway? Would you feel like you were welcomed there? Would you feel like you were infringing on someone's property? Would you, this, by formalizing this and packing this in, invites people to use that. And then, of course, the best trail maintenance is the use of the trail.
Absolutely.
So we have seen such success with the Kingsland Side Path that now we're moving over to the west side, which I think I mentioned before has been much anticipated. There's a strong desire for connectivity over there, and we are turning our focus now to the Glasgow Side Path. That's going to be a little over 2 miles of new side path along Glasgow, connecting the recreation center to the golf course.
Wow.
And we're very excited. I wish I had an invite to celebrate that, but we're still working on scheduling that. But we're working with the Wildflower Native Seed Society here in Bella Vista. We're going to offer seed packets. So when I schedule that day, I hope you all will attend. Come spread some wildflower seeds along the path to really beautify and invite, again, people to utilize that path.
Oh, I love that. And I love the community element behind this. With Arkansas Moves, like you said, you had an ice cream social kind of thing. You also did something pretty unique. You did a bike to school event where there was bike to school week and kids got a bike to school, and it was just a really neat event. I was able to go down and snap some photos as the kids met up and they biked all the way to Cooper Elementary, and what a very cool thing you guys helped organize.
I tell you what, again, Bella Vista continues to just amaze me. There is one school here in Bella Vista that's part of the Bentonville school system, and we of course have been hosting bike trains and bike to school weeks in Bentonville for the past 3 years, but have not traditionally had a bike train to Cooper Elementary. And so this year we partnered with Grindstone Coffee, administrators at Cooper Elementary, did some Learn to Ride programming, got helmets on kids in cooperation with Pedal It Forward, and we hosted a bike train. And if you're not familiar with that term, it starts in one person's driveway, there's a route, and kids come and they meet, and that train builds along the route, and before you know it, there's 100 kids riding into Cooper Elementary.
That's
and
amazing.
It was absolutely incredible. And again, I mentioned before, there isn't safe, reliable connections for all kiddos to be able to ride their bike to school, but there's a concept called park and ride. And so kids and families can come park at Metfield, or they can come park at the Gear Garden and then join in the bike train there. And so that really has been kind of a new concept we've introduced to our bike trains, is the park and ride idea. And my goodness, it was so successful. And looking forward to continuing that this fall. We'll be hosting another Bike to School Week, and we look for community members. You don't have to be a parent or grandparent or a school staff member to participate in and support our bike trains. So if you're a member of the community and you're interested in supporting more kids on bikes and getting kids to and from school on their bikes and out of car line, then contact us. We'll get you plugged into our fall bike trains.
I love it. Well, let's be right back in a moment. We'll jump right back in, but stay tuned. Very exciting stuff. Thank you guys so much. Let's talk about it. And we are back with Let's Talk About It. Again, we're here with Jessica Pearson, founder of Arkansas Moves. We've been talking about her work with Bella Vista, the connectivity trails, the side lanes. Something I found really interesting, the work that you do, and I learned totally separate, unrelated, was the concept of just direct paths. Mm-hmm. So cities might build a certain sidewalk, but like you mentioned, you start seeing footpaths of people taking a more direct path through a field, through a sideway area, and you're like, wow, this is actually the more efficient route because this is what people want. We obviously see the trail, we see the ground being packed through. With all of your events, you find these locations where people have been walking, utilizing it, and building it out a little bit better.
Right.
And then you have events called Pack the Path. So when you develop these things, you kind of do that community element of pulling people together. So can you talk more about this Pack the Path events and what that means and all the fun stuff that's associated with it?
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So that SEPI machine, which we've nicknamed Lil Doug, has it grinds up and spits up the ground, and it creates this nice 4-foot path. But that path is going to naturalize into something more like 1.5 to 2 feet. And so once that's done, we'll go through and we'll lightly compact it, but we really want the community to understand and appreciate that the maintenance of that path is going to be its continued use. And so again, we're inviting the community out and saying, yes, it's okay for you to be here and to use this, and actually we encourage you to be here and use this. This is built for you.
Absolutely.
And so that's why we host the Pack the Path events.
Yeah, and I see you have these tools, that you see a lot of gardeners use, and construction workers, they'll push down the dirt, but the best way to do it, like you mentioned, is people walking and more biking and more utilizing of the trail makes the path better and better and better, and just the city and trailblazers and you all taking care of like the grass around it and making sure everything looks good.
I mean, what a great collaboration.
It's so
multiple entities coming together to formalize, adopt, and now deploy a project that started with a local resident and a weed eater. It's pretty special.
So we talked about your move to Northwest Arkansas, and we talked about Arkansas moves. There's a lot of cycling going on outside of these connector trails. So we have the Oz Trail Bike Park here in Bella Vista. Very, very, very exciting time. What is something that excites you about cycling? Because you said you've been cycling since a very young age and been passionate about it. So I guess what brought you into cycling? And I'm sure you were excited to move here with the cycling community that was already in place. And we already know, Tom and Stuart Walton are very passionate as well, and Gary Vernon, another Bella Vista resident. So tell us more about your connection and community with the cycling community.
Sure. So I think I mentioned earlier in the interview, I started cycling when I was 12 years old. My neighbor owned the local bike shop. My dad was looking for a way to bond with his preteen daughter, and we joined the Ozark Mountain Wheel Suckers bike team and trained every year for the Bike MS ride that raises money for multiple sclerosis. And so pulling from that, what I am most excited about, that was 2 generations riding together. When my daughter turned 12, we went up to the Katy Trail in Missouri, and we rode that with my parents. So we had 3 generations riding together along the Katy Trail. And we have such a tremendous resource here in the Razorback Greenway. And I am most excited about getting multi-generational riders out celebrating them. Actually, and I might be jumping the gun and saying this, but I'll take a slap on the hand. I'll ask for forgiveness. But I've been working with the Bella Vista Rotary to organize a generations ride. And that was something they came to me with and asked for support. And I couldn't be more excited to help them out and take that from plan to an actual event. So stay tuned for that. It might be coming later this fall, or we might push it to next year, depending on the plans. But another thing I want to talk about, if I have time, is our mini grant program. And so we have been funding mini grants in Bentonville and now Bella Vista for things like crosswalks, murals. But one of my favorite mini grants we funded was a trishaw. And so Nargo Bikes created a trishaw that allows residents with limited mobility the ability to get out on our trails on a bike. And that has just been magical.
That's
and so, yeah, what I'm most excited about in cycling is what this trail system, these greenways, these shared use paths that truly are built for all ages and all abilities to be able to enjoy those out together.
I love it.
Yeah.
We have a couple photos I think we could look through real quick. You see this one here. It was an event. It looks like you guys
That's
did.
our Pack the Path.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it was such a great turnout, it looks like. And we love that the Bella Vista community showed up. And they're, like you said, there's people here who are passionate about moving around, no matter their accessibility, whether it's with kids and strollers, people on bikes. People are just very excited. So it looks like you had a great turnout.
We had about 100 people, and this was at the same time as the media opening of the new bike park.
Wow.
And you know, we still had 100 people show up for this. So I think what's important about Arkansas Moves and about the idea of a cycling community and culture is you don't have to own a bike to appreciate cycling and trails and alternative mobility. And you don't have to own a bike to be a part of that culture here. And we try to offer opportunities for people to enjoy and interact with our trail systems, multimodal. And truly, there is some overlap between recreation and commuting, but our trails are meant to get to destinations. They're meant to be connectors.
Yeah.
And it's awesome when the city and community invests in areas of interest adjacent to those trails, because without that, it's just a corridor. But with parks and trail-oriented businesses and bicycle-friendly businesses, you begin to build out a community along the trail system. And that's really what we're pushing for.
You know what's really cool about what you're doing, too, is the you mentioned the multi-generational, the multi-use, different mobilities. It's just amazing no matter what someone's doing. It's really not about, these connectors are about the destination, but in a way it's the journey of how people are taking that journey to each destination. So for Bella Vista, if it's, maybe in the future there's a connector to Bella Vista Country Club from a different place, and it connects to a part of the Greenway. So seeing these things develop more and more and more is super exciting. And what I love to see too is, like you said, the Oz Trail Bike Park was having its big member founding opening weekend, and still 100 people showed up for Arkansas Moves.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of different groups for cyclists, for different personalities, different orientations of whatever. So people are just super excited. And you guys have found, I think, the perfect starting community here in Bella Vista to really...
I couldn't agree more.
Because, I mean, Bella Vista is so hilly. Besides that, Fayetteville gets hilly. Everywhere else has kind of this valley of Springdale, Tontitown, and Bentonville gets back to hilly. But once you get to Bella Vista, that's when it starts to get really interesting, and trails become fun and more mountain bikey, but you're building these unique trails for people who could hike, bike.
For everyday use. And for getting from your neighborhood to a destination.
I love it.
You know, people talk about, how much time kids spend on technology. And I think that a part of that is that kids don't have an option. They can't drive a car. They might own a bike, but if there's not a safe, reliable way for them to get to the park, they're really dependent on their parents or grandparents or neighbors to transport them from A to B. And so that creates a barrier, and they'll resort out of boredom to technology. But as soon as you build a connector from a neighborhood to a park or a rec center or a library, those kids now have options other than their phones. And that extends to adults too. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I'm not on my phone too much, but if I can leave my front door and hop on a bike or go for a jog or walk downtown to a restaurant, I'm going to do that.
And I think Bella Vista is one of the most meditative communities of Northwest Arkansas. You have Tanyard Creek, all these trails, you have all the lakes, amazing restaurants, golf courses, if that's your thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
My son's out here golfing all the time.
There's a lot of golfing. But it's a great recreational place to live. And I feel like Arkansas Moves is really building onto that and making it that recreational name really pop out and making it a standard for Arkansas.
And recreation is for everyone, not
Absolutely.
just spandex-clad cyclists on bikes that cost more than your car.
That's right.
You know, I mean, you don't have to be that invested to be a part of the culture here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, something else that's really unique and interesting is the switchbacks, the roadways. We already talked about the mountainous side of it, but there have been, you know, incidences of people walking or construction workers and having accidents, you know, around these bends. So having the ability to commute for safety's sake.
Yeah.
So not just because it's beautiful and helps with recreation and connecting, you're helping, I think, the safety of Bella Vista, because it's one of the most blindsided towns in NWA for sure.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. That is our number one priority, is making our roadways, our trails,
Absolutely.
our connectors safer.
It's very exciting. So we only have a couple more minutes, but before we go, tell us where we could find you, other things you got planned, whether it's through email, social media, and maybe something that's happening this next year. I heard there might be a film at the Bentonville Film Festival you're kind of part of, so touch base on that real quick.
Okay, wonderful. So if you want to follow us, go to arkansasmoves.org. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page, Arkansas Moves, and you can email me anytime, jessica@arkansasmoves.org. We have been, since investing and supporting these side path projects, been getting a lot of outreach from community members that want a side path in their neighborhood or on the trails that they're biking. And so rather than sending that to me, you can send that to the City of Bella Vista's Active Transportation Advisory Board. They will receive those requests, they will map them out, and then they will collectively work with the city to prioritize which one of those that they're going to invest in next. But please be on the lookout for our next Pack the Path activation for the Glasgow side path. Help us spread some wildflowers, pack that in, formalize it, and celebrate that investment. And then, as you mentioned, the Bentonville Film Festival has a showing Homegrown series this afternoon and tomorrow. Cycling Without Age is the show that we have decided to purchase tickets for, and I still have tickets available for both of those. So if you want to attend either of those showings, reach out to me and I'll get you a registration link. We would love to have you join us. And if you're interested in joining a Bella Vista working group, we meet quarterly and we talk about different ways the community can engage with the coalition, with our elected leadership, and help inform and prioritize how we move forward in Bella Vista. Yeah.
Yeah, and is there a place people could find the film if it's past this week? It will be online, available anywhere?
Let me look into that
Look
for
into
you.
it. Awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess one of the last things I'm curious about is Arkansas Moves. You're starting in Bella Vista. I know Bentonville's already have quite the infrastructure. You got big plans to move farther and farther into the whole state.
Yeah.
So it's such an honor to have, you know, Bella Vista be the first spot in terms of what Arkansas Moves is doing.
Yeah.
All the amazing things, and I know you have a few more plans planned out here in Bella Vista, and hopefully we see those come into fruition. So we're very, very, very excited. Again, Jessica Pearson with Arkansas Moves.
Yeah.
You can find her at arkansasmoves.org. Email you again at jessica@arkansasmoves.org.
Yep.
And you follow you on Facebook and Instagram at Arkansas Moves. Sounds pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. We also have a newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter
And how do I sign up for that?
at arkansasmoves.org.
Okay, so
it's
just
on
go
there.
there?
Just
Okay.
dig through there. You can find our mini grants on there. Anything you could possibly need, except for maybe a link to that filming, is on our website. But I'll add that too.
Well, it sounds like you're covering so much for the cycling community, and we're very, very excited. So we can't wait, and I look forward to it. So again, thank you so much for having.
Thank you, Larry.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, and again, thank everyone for watching today. This was such an honor, and we will be doing many more episodes in the future. But for now, thank you for watching. Let's talk about it, and we'll catch you around the bend very, very soon. Thank you.